fine now. Peter?
Good?
Yep.
Okay, we'll call the meeting order then at 10:07 a.m. And is there anything you need to add to the agenda yet, Don?
Nope.
Anything from the
We
board?
just have one.
Rick?
Is there any updates on the scale
No.
issue? Okay.
I haven't had a chance to do
All right,
anything with
that's
that
good.
yet.
So we're good there. Okay, I'll have someone move the adoption of the agenda.
I'll
Rick?
move the adoption of the agenda.
I'll second. All those in favor?
In favor.
Okay, this is gonna be kind of a seance today again, so.
Maybe if they could even just raise their
Yeah.
hands online.
Okay, that's carried. So next item, minutes of the regular meeting on the 16th of November. Anybody see anything in there that needed to be changed? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt those.
I'll make that motion to
Linda?
adopt the minutes, yep, as presented.
Okay. All those in favor? That's carried. Good, thanks, Al. All right. So now, we can go back to six point. We're 5.1, the Ag Chronicles. I guess you can handle that one, Don.
Yeah. So we're done. We've got the copy. We got the digital copy, and I printed a copy for everybody. So it is also available on our website now as well. And I believe we are actually going to do some like magazine style printing as well. But for we just have the in-house printing available. So we have the copies that you see in front of you or online for those of you who are joining online. There is the copy there too. So I think it turned out really good. We've got some nice messages in there, some good articles that were written over the past couple of years. It was a bit of a go, but we're good. We ended up using another organization or a company to do the final formatting, and that's what we've got our final product here. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of it actually.
Yeah, it had its ups and downs, but I think I found it was really, really good.
Yeah.
And
Are there things we could have done better? Absolutely, but I think what we've come up with, I think, turned out pretty good. So.
And having a digital format, you're able to make any changes as you want or enhance on anything as you go.
To some degree, for sure. Yeah, and the intention is to revisit this annually. We may not make a lot of changes annually because we tried not to make it too dated either. Like it does say 2023 issue on there, but we tried to keep it sort of timeless so it wouldn't be, getting outdated too quickly. So.
But the intent is to continue to add.
Yeah, to
Different-
revisit, redo another,
Yeah.
obviously, these aren't gonna be the same articles that we're gonna maybe have in the next.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the grant programs, there may be new things that come out, so we can put that kind of stuff in, or, focus on a different, home-based business that we've got in the area and that kind of stuff. Or updates on the wild boar situation, like all that kind of stuff can be updated as we go forward. But like I said, at this time, we tried to make it so it wasn't going to be, oh, that only happened in 2023.
Yeah.
That's so 10 minutes ago, sort of thing. So, but yeah,
It turned out really well.
thank you.
Yeah, I think it took a long time because of all of the I mean, we went right through COVID with that, right? That's when it
Yeah,
started.
we kind of started the
kinda-
whole, well, it's shortly after COVID.
Yeah.
And then we had some issues with our initial contractor that they couldn't do the as much of the article writing as we had hoped. So then we went to the Express to ask them if they could do the articles. And, you know, by the time we all got through all the articles, we had to edit, we had to write some, and yeah, it was a bit of a task, but I think in the long run, it was worth it.
So now we know a little bit of what the Express does, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a much greater high respect
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
Express, because editing is not easy.
No. So is there anything else anyone wants to add, or? Otherwise, we'll get a motion to accept that as publication as information.
I'll make the motion to accept it as information.
Okay. All those in favor? I didn't catch your vote there, Al, and you guys that are online. It was obscured for a minute. Okay, there we go. Okay, that motion's carried. All right. We'll go back to 5.2, the annual general meeting of VSI Services. Is that the one that Devin, can you give us an update on that, please?
Yeah, you bet. Sorry in advance. I'm still sick. I barely have a voice. It's gonna be really try and keep it short. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we went through. It was actually a very quick meeting. It was under an hour. I'll go over some of the highlights before I completely lose my voice. With the VSI committee is very interesting because the numbers can swing year to year, and I guess if you think about it, it's all based off of herd health and kind of what's going on each year. Woodlands County in 2022 went up 16%. In 2023, they're down 11% participation. Is this too painful? Can you guys hear me okay? I'm sorry.
No, we can hear you, Devin.
Okay. Some of the other ones that were quite large swings, in 2022, Lac La Biche was up 58%. And last year they were down 20. Birch Hills County was up 102% 2022. Then they dropped 40%. So these numbers are kind of hard to trend, and they seem to switch a lot. But total for the VSI in 2022 went up 8.4%, and in 2023 is up 8.2%. So the participation continues to go up, which is good, and that's what everyone's promoting. Some of the operations that happened, cesareans in 2022 were up 35%, and then they were back down in 2023, 13%. Calving, kind of the same, went down 16% in 2022, and then up 30% in 2023. That was a lot of the numbers, but overall, the total claims in 2023 were down 1.6%. The total services were up 3.6%. The total costs were up 5.7%. So I think that kind of shows that things are getting a little more expensive, maybe. But good participation. Woodlands County, we do 50-50 on our operations, and we elected to stay the same. Some decide to go like a 70-30. I don't know if anyone has any input on that, but I think 50-50 seems to be working good for Woodlands County. I don't use this program, but I don't know, maybe Greg could have some insight on if we ever wanted to change that, or if it's kind of working for the producer. I know I talked to a few, and our residents seem pretty happy with it, but I don't know if anyone else has any they've heard about it.
No, I think it's great that we cover 50% even. We're pretty fortunate that way. We can keep it that way, that's just fine, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we get good participation, and Don, you could probably give even a better insight on our participation, but I think we get good participation. And both seem really happy with it, and I think that it's a great program that Willets County decides is important. So yeah, quite happy that we do it.
Go ahead, Al.
Thanks, Peter. Hey, just a question to Devin, and a comment, I guess. I was at our cousin's ranch just north of Medicine Hat over the Christmas break, and I brought this VSI program up with them, wondering if they'd ever heard of it, and they had not. In fact, the daughter, my niece, works with a local veterinarian in the summer between years of university, and she wasn't aware of the program either. So I'm just curious as to how far south the municipalities go that are participating in the program.
I'd honestly have to look to see which ones are the most. We're on south end, but we're getting pretty close to the south end. I don't know if there's much. Don probably is more familiar with which municipalities. I could list these off. It originally was set up for to promote vets in the north, and a lot of these are Saddle Hills, Northern Lights, Mackenzie, Bonnyville, Lesser Slave, Smoky River, Sunrise County, Spirit River, Fairview, Woodlands County, Greenview. So we are, I would say, fairly south on the whole program. But maybe Don knows the one further south than us. I don't believe Barhead's even on the list. So yeah, it's kind of whichever counties, and it was just to promote veterinarians, large animal vets in the north is what the program's for.
Sure. Yeah, those operations down south tend to be really large, so I imagine they don't have the same type of shortages of veterinarians for large animals.
Yeah, and the cost to the municipality could be pretty big. Some of those huge feedlots down there, it could get pretty inflated pretty quickly.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
If I could just add to that, Alan, yes, we are the most southern municipality involved in this program. And as Devin mentioned, it was initially started in the piece to bring veterinarians in there, and it's kind of morphed into more the animal health aspect now. But yeah, we are probably the most southerly, involved municipality. And we have 143 participants right now in our county.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Don.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? For
That
Devin?
was, yeah, that was about all I was gonna go over. There was a couple other things talked about. There was at the beginning of the year, there was a banking error, and a bunch of vets got NSF checks. So that wasn't very good, but it got rectified really quickly once they realized, and the banks waived some of the fees for the NSF checks. So it went pretty good. But overall, good participation. The numbers are always interesting to me because you can have a number swing from 60% increase to a 40% decrease within a year, just based off of because it's a herd of livestock versus something that you can actually kind of plan for. So it's kind of interesting. Thanks, everyone.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Devin, Ryan McLaughlin here. I just have one question. Was there any conversation around incentive for vets to join the program? is several vets that do service Woodlands County that kind of refuse to join the program because they think it's too much of a hassle. Was there any conversation around that at all?
I think they're always just trying to draw vets to the program, and it kind of is based on the area, and what they do. But there wasn't a whole bunch of talk on bringing, like more existing vets online. It was more trying to get vets in general to the north because a lot of them are going to small animal and not so much large animal is the problem. So just actually, there was talks of looking into grants for schooling for large animal vets and different things like that. But there wasn't a whole bunch of talk of actually trying to get them to come on board. A lot of times the reason that they don't is that there's not a lot of large animal in the area, so they don't want to deal with it because it seems the vets make a lot of money off of dogs and cats and pets and stuff, small animal stuff, than the large animal.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions?
But if I could add to that, though, that's something that we could bring up at the next VSI one, no problem. Like that's a great one to bring forward and maybe, you know, not a sales pitch, but kind of, you know, the directors can approach different vets and try and bring them on board, because if there's none in your area that do it, then that's not really great for Woodlands County either, right? We want all the vets to be a part of it. I know I could draw probably on Greg for this, but I believe at least one vet in Barnet is on a part of this program. Maybe both are. I'm not sure, but I know for sure our area is serviced by, and the VSI program is working. But if it's not a white area, definitely look into that.
Yeah, we just had big turnover in Whitecourt with clinic ownership and stuff, and so basically the Mayerthorpe Vet Clinic is the only, the ladies that own that are part of VSI, and they do have a small dog and cat clinic in Whitecourt, but they don't really want to service the Whitecourt area with calving and stuff unless their schedule is completely free, because they are quite busy in the Mayerthorpe, Lac St. Anne area. So a lot of the west part of the county has been using Edson Vet Clinic, and it's actually ran by quite a few vets that had either worked in Mayerthorpe or live in the Shining Bank area or right on the edge of Woodlands County. So they're actually quite close in proximity as far as calving calls and stuff like that. But we don't get to use the VSI program anymore because that clinic does not want to join. I've had a conversation with them, and they feel it's too much of a hassle. So.
Maybe I can reach out to Rick, our VSI person, like he's the coordinator of it, and just see if he could get a package together for vets that we could send out.
That'd be great.
And then maybe that, like, just kind of to educate them on the program. Like it may seem like a lot of work, but I don't know if it is that much. I mean, they're doing their billing anyway, so it's kind of just they have to send the billing.
I think it's just
other
an excuse
places.
mostly.
But once they get set up with it, it should,
Yeah.
should be easy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's that hard, but I've
I-
never
yeah,
done
I
the
don't
billing
think
end. But
Workload by no means. I think the producer actually has to do most of the work because they're the ones that has to do the work with the county and the paperwork end of it. So I think it's the producer that actually has to do more of the work. But sometimes they just maybe have never been a part of it, so they don't really understand it. So it's easier just to bill you directly than what they think maybe is a lot of work. So and maybe it is. I honestly obviously don't know, but that would be great if we could get Rick to reach out. And I know this board always is trying to get vets and municipalities to participate because they see the value in the herd health, and the producer, I believe, really sees the value in this. So yeah, that'd be awesome if you don't mind doing that, Dawn.
yeah, I can do that for sure. And I don't think the billing's that bad because I think it's like a monthly thing. They just send in a bill to Rick and he just kind of verifies it. I believe, but I'd have to check with Rick
Yeah.
and see how that goes.
So he's the coordinator in this area?
I would honestly,
He is
Or he's
the
the
administrator for VSI
Oh, okay,
all over.
okay,
So he's the main manager.
okay.
Yeah, he's the
So-
manager.
So do we need
I
a
would-
motion for you to do that, Don, or is?
I don't believe so. I
No.
think it's just a
Just go
quick
ahead.
reach out and
Do
do it,
that.
yeah. It's,
So they would have to get a grant, apply for a grant then, like Edson Vets then? Is that how that works?
no, I don't believe they have a grant per se for it. Like we have, like as part of our Ag Service Board grant, that's where that 50% comes from.
Yeah.
Like that's built into our Ag Service Board grant. And that's where we derive the funds from. But I don't think the vet clinics have to get a grant for the administration part of it. I
But the
don't
county would.
no, if they're a part of the, they don't actually have to apply. It's,
No, because
Don
like, so
does-
when I use Claire for Ainsworth, for instance, she's in Lac Saint Anne County. And it's Woodlands County that she's doing her work in, and then, you know,
So Woodlands,
We get billed?
we get, yeah.
So-
Woodlands gets billed for that?
Yeah, so,
When she comes to our place.
yeah, in the beginning of the year, we forward our VSI
The
contribution.
same for you with the Barhead
24,000,
vet,
right?
they're not in your county, but they're coming and doing the work at your place.
Yeah.
In your county.
it's based off of your location. Ryan's exactly right. Like Greg, you're in Woodlands County, Barhead comes and does it. As long as they're a part of the program and your residence is in the county that's participating in it, then we like allow that, or VSI pays that bill then.
It's probably based on the premise ID, I would think.
Yeah.
You just have to be it has to be in Woodlands
In
County.
Woodlands County,
Yes.
yep.
You have to be a resident. But so what they do is, so we send the VSI Incorporated our 24,000 a year. And then, I think it might be more than that this year, but.
24/5.
And then from that money, that's where he draws, when the vet clinics send him the bills, that's where he draws the money from.
Yep.
So we basically use that money, so the vet clinics are getting billed or paid from VSI, not from Woodlands County directly.
Yeah, and I'll talk to that for a second. Got a number here. That there was $10,458 in interest that's been paid out, and any surplus money gets invested. Oh, I lost where I'm at here. There's any surplus money gets invested into a higher interest savings plan. And then they use that money as well if there's ever any overages the following year. So there is kind of a pot of money there, but Don's right. Yeah, the 25,000 just goes to VSI, and then they pull from that funds that everybody. Don kind of gets it at each year, and that's where that number comes from. But we're pretty consistent in Woodlands County. We don't have a lot of really big swings. It stays fairly steady.
Okay, is there anything else?
No, I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, I guess then we just need a motion to have that accepted as information.
I'll make that motion, Peter.
Okay, Dave? All those in favor? Okay, that's carried. Okay, let's go on to 6.1, your insect survey results.
So we
How
got
many bugs
this.
did we have this year?
Nothing major. So every year they do insect surveys in our area. Grow does some of them. We do some of them from the county side. And Alberta Agriculture and Irrigation also does some. So based on all those surveys, we've got the summary in front of you there. And basically the gist of it is we don't have anything that's really significant as far as pest species. We've got some Bertha armyworm, but not a lot of them. There was a very small amount of sweet midge. So there wasn't a whole lot of significance that we have to be concerned about going forward into the 2024 crop year. So that's good news. What we do need to be concerned about is our moisture level,
Yeah.
but
We did have some spot issues of grasshoppers last year.
there were a few, yeah, there
Wasn't-
weren't,
Widespread.
no, they were kind of localized areas, so.
In my place,
Yeah.
that's where they localized, that's where they gathered.
They all gathered,
They
they were
gathered
having a
for their
convention.
meetings.
They
I
must have
killed
been-
a lot of them.
Did you spray up north, my place there?
No,
Oh, cause that one field we had was wiped right out.
no,
Your pasture was bad too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really bad in some areas. Like I say, I didn't have any at home, but north of me, half a mile, it was
And then we had a
wicked.
couple of fields down in Anselmo that were a little higher too. It was just weird, cause it wasn't consistent in
No.
anyone's one area.
So is it, in your experience, is it that if you have them there this year, are they gonna be there the next year? Is that?
Well, it depends on the weather, like the dryness
Yeah.
is, we're definitely gonna promote their hatching. Yeah, cause they like that hot dryness, but if it's wet and cool this spring, maybe we won't have as much hatch. And when
know
I'm
last
digging in
time-
my flower bed, I squish every pack I find, so.
last time we had them really bad, I forget what year, 2014 or something.
Yeah,
And the following year, I figured they were gonna be but they were.
they weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened too, so,
It's, they use the models to predict, but you can't.
yeah.
It's nature. We can't
Well,
predict what
especially
they're
now
gonna-
that we have such a variation of where the rainfall is and where it isn't, right?
Yeah,
It makes a big difference too, because
True.
we used to get way broader rainfall levels and moisture levels, so, okay.
for sure.
Is there any more discussion on that item? No? I will motion to accept that as information.
I'll move that for
Great.
information.
All right, 6.2, the Invasive Species Council sponsorship.
To vote on that last motion.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're all in favor of that motion to accept 6.1 as information? Yeah, that's carried. Okay. Move on to 6.2.
So this is the Alberta Invasive Species Council, yes. Okay. So, this is just our annual invoice for the, bronze sponsorship of, the Alberta Invasive Species Council. We have it in the budget for 2024 for $1,000 for support, so that's basically what that is. And that gives us, membership pricing for the conference, full access to all of their documents that they have on their website for the different pest species and promotions of that kind of stuff. So,
You attend that call?
yes, it will be. Yeah. It's in March this year, and it's at Olds College. And I went last year, so I'm going to go this year as well. I just registered yesterday, actually.
Okay, any discussion on that item? If not, I'll have a motion to accept that as information as well.
I make a motion to accept that as information.
I am. All those in favor? Okay, that's carried. Now we have to vote on who holds the clicker at the Ag Service Board conference.
Who has all the power?
Okay, we just have to appoint two people as voting members. So there's Ryan, myself, Al,
Dave.
and Dave that'll
And
be at
Linda.
that, and Linda that'll be at that conference. So Al, go ahead.
I'd move that the Ag Service Board appoint Peter Culkin and Ryan McLaughlin to serve as the voting members for the 2024 Provincial Conference Resolution Session.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? not, all those in favor? That's carried.
So I guess that being said, also, if there's any comments from members that won't be attending the conference regarding the resolutions, if you want any questions asked or whatever, we can
Yeah.
forward those, or if you think we
just,
can handle it,
if
that's good too.
If there's any written, it's really quite
You should be
straightforward,
able to get,
so.
I haven't heard of any emergent resolutions yet either. They've been calling for them, but I haven't seen anything coming out yet, so.
Okay. Next one is the Crossroads Conference on the 29th to the 31st. That's the one Greg would like to attend for the service board. And so I think that all we need to do there is approve that, just to have a motion that Greg attend that conference.
Make a motion if we attend the Crossroads Conference.
Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Now we will move on to the activity report. I think that's 7.1. How's things been going, Don?
It's been going. Not terribly busy because we had Christmas break in there, so
Yeah.
it's kind of nice. But, no, we've been, so I did attend the ADM Town Hall meeting in November with ADM John Conrad, and we do have another one coming up at the conference on Monday afternoon at 3. There's one
Yeah.
for the chairs and fieldmen, so
Yeah.
we can attend that if we're
We should be there.
available. We should be.
Yeah.
Because our plane lands at 1:30, so we should, and our transfer is at the airport at 2, so we should be in plenty of time. I think it's only like a 10-minute drive from the airport to our hotel, so. Anyway, so that's coming up in, at next week as well, but at the previous meeting, he commented on, of course, the minister's priorities, the SCAP partnership program, and the new Canada-Alberta drought livestock program. There was a few comments as to why that wasn't province-wide, and the federal government wouldn't buy into it unless they had specific areas that were identified. So we're not in those specific areas because they felt that we were not in a drought-stricken area.
We would have to declare an emergency on that
No,
basis,
not
no?
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No.
Get a map.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of determined that based on the weather stations and the
Okay,
various different recording factors that they have. Basically, when we declare an emergency, it's just, it draws attention, but it doesn't
doesn't.
hold a lot of power. Basically, it just says, yeah, we got a problem, but but there were some people that were commenting like maybe we didn't have as much drought, but we had a lot of water, we had flooding, we had forest fires in the area, so that was like we were also affected by the weather and what happened, but they had to go based on the drought and that kind of stuff. So technically, we were not in a drought last summer, but it didn't rain. Yeah, it didn't rain all of the fall, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, and then he also did some commenting on the extension activities that are now available through ARDAR. So, James and I also went to the in-service training at the beginning of December, so we did some continuing ed credits for our pesticide applicators license, so that would be talking about legislation and different crop pests and diseases and so on and so forth. There was a very interesting meeting, session about wild boar issues in the United States, and they talked about the problem in Texas, and basically it kind of gave a history of what had happened in the United States, so it was very interesting to see how it had gone and spread so quickly. And they're very encouraging towards our programs up here, saying that if you can get on it and do it, they're also they also mentioned that the full sounder trapping was the way to go. I mean, down in Texas, they're never gonna be out of that situation, cause it's too much. It's too, and there's a few other states that were also having not quite as high numbers as Texas, but pretty high numbers too, where they're not gonna be able to, like, they're working, so what they're doing in the states is that the states that start with small, like, they're kind of doing a proactive approach, like if you've got a small number, they just start seeing them showing up, then they go to that to try to eradicate them in those states. And the rest, like, they're managing it, but they're not trying to eradicate them, because they pretty much assured that it's futile to try to eradicate that many wild boar. But in the states that don't have a lot of wild boar, that's where they're concentrating their efforts on eradication right now, so.
I have a question for you, while you're on the wild boar. Can you tell if a hunter finds a skull, whether it's a feral hog or whether it's a...
Yeah, I might not be able to, but we have people that could, because of the skull formation is a bit different.
Because there was one found at Holmes Crossing.
Okay,
It was relatively fresh chewed,
yeah,
and there are no pigs down there.
yeah,
So I should maybe get that guy too, because he kept the skull.
right.
I'll get that guy maybe to just,
I can give you a number he can call,
okay,
and,
okay.
I'll give that to you after the meeting.
Okay.
But, so the provincial specialist would be able to direct him to, where to go and take that, for sure.
I'll ask Brent, and see if he's willing to give it up, because he said he found it, actually found it while he was hunting
Yeah,
in an area where there is absolutely no hogs close or anything else, so.
right. So, we've had, with Alberta Agriculture and Irrigation, with the program that we have, anytime there's other sightings, like we had a site, or one killed up north of the fort a while ago. So they've been investigating that. We've had a couple sightings up here too, that people think they've seen them. So the trappers have been up and investigating this area too. So any landowners that call in, then I'll get their number and have the trappers reach out to them. But I can get you Hannah's number, and she can kind of direct the whole connection process through for the skull for sure.
Well,
So-
who knows, because it's in the river valley, who knows where that animal
Yeah.
came from, like, it could have been something that floated down the river as well.
True, and there are some in the grazing lease.
Reserve,
Yeah, in the grazing reserve there. So
yeah, that connects to
who
the river.
knows? Who knows how far they've traveled? They can travel 30 miles with no problem. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's not.
And they do
wouldn't be
swim the
uncommon.
river.
Yeah, pigs do swim. Yeah, there's proof
Yeah.
of that. So, another
Okay.
thing that we're doing, we actually just got our little stickers the other day. So, with doing that eDNA project, we kind of, through that process, we've developed these little stickers with a QR code on them. So people can, and the intention is to send these out to the oil and gas companies, and then they can distribute them to their people, because they're out in areas that I will probably never see. So they can take these, stick them to their phone or their truck dash or whatever, and if they see one, they can scan the QR code and it takes them to the reporting app so that they can report that sighting. So it just gives us a little more eyes out in the area. So I think we ordered 1,000 of these. So we've got a lot. So we're just gonna get some of the contacts in the area for some of those oil and gas companies and send them out to those people, so.
Because it's
That's-
Devin, it would be the operators that would see that, because they're the ones that travel around most in the oil field, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So maybe that's a way that we could get
Yeah,
that into those guys.
yeah, I have to compose a beautiful letter to them and say, please distribute these to your operators and other field staff, and yeah, and if they wanna stick them on their hard hats, whatever. I mean, they're kinda cute, so. But yeah, that was one of the things that we actually just got them when, Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Yeah, just a couple days ago, so.
It-
But yeah, so that's kind of
It's a
cool.
good.
What's
Oh,
that,
sorry,
Devin?
I was gonna say it's a good idea because they travel the roads every day, multiple times a day, and a lot of them are pretty outdoors kind of people anyways, so yeah, it'd be really good.
And even if we get some false reporting, that doesn't matter. Like, we might get a couple of good hits.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I think any kind of reporting is good. So we've kind of gone on a tangent right there, didn't I? What else? So back to, we had our Bows and Bows workshop. We did it a little differently this year. So just had it on the one day, on the Saturday, on December 9th in Goose Lake. So one day, one location, but two different sessions, morning and afternoon. It was so much easier for setup. We didn't have to do double duty on stuff. It was easier on the instructor as well. And we still had pretty much sold out. We were close to being sold out for both sessions. So I think it worked good. We had some people come over from Whitecourt, as well as from over in Barhead area, and lots of people from the Goose Lake area too, because it was really close. So, but yeah, turned out really good. They made some beautiful stuff. So yeah, we were as I was talking about wild boar, we had a wild boar forum with Alberta Agriculture and Irrigation on December 12th, and we talked about different things that are going on out in the field, updates from the Alberta Invasive Species Council, of course from the province as well, and Alberta Pork and AFSC. And then they also have students doing different projects for their PhD and master's programs. And so those students talked about their projects as well, and some of the findings. A lot of them haven't got much data yet. In fact, I just got an email this morning from the young lady that's working in our area. So she's going to be collecting her data in April and May of this year. So that'll be our first round of data to see what kind of activity she's got on her game cams. And as we've discussed, I'll be attending the provincial conference next week. And the conference agenda looks pretty good, so I think it should be pretty interesting. Haven't started working on the Moyne contract, but I got to work on the Moyne contract for the next 4 years. So what we're going to do for this year is do a full ditch cut all over the county and then go back to the 1/3. So that's why we're doing a 4-year contract this year. So we'll just kind of do a 1-year catch up and then back to our 1/3 full ditch cuts for the following 3 years.
Was there any brushing or anything included? Is there any of that included? Is that part of what you do, or is
Not
that
on that
infrastructure?
contract. So the infrastructure has been doing a lot of the brushing in-house. So
Yeah.
we've got some attachments for the equipment, so they've been doing that brushing in-house.
Okay.
Yeah, so we haven't got a contract per se for that. Unless it's something
That
we
is a
can.
deficiency that we really need to have a look at as far as county goes, but I guess that would be brought up more at council.
Yeah, that would be more of Rick or Andre.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you, use the same contractors, or you put it out?
No,
for
we put it out for bid.
bid?
So we had our current the previous contractor, that contract ended in 2023. So this year we'll put it out for a 4-year contract and we put it out on the provincial site. I can't remember what the heck it's called, but we put it out for advertising on our webpage and stuff too. So, yeah, it does have to go out for bid, and then we'll collect those bids, and that has to go to council for acceptance.
Okay.
Yep. And we're working on getting the Ag Service Board supper going. We've got a lot of the details already locked down. James is working on some sponsorship right now for some door prizes. And I'm working on, or set up a bunch of workshops actually. So we've got our Green Acreages workshop in April, I believe it is, April 30th. We're doing a land rentals, agreements, leases, and rates kind of a workshop in March 4th. Yeah. So we're just, we're waiting, getting the advertising together for that. And then there's another one. I just
Your
realized.
water well.
Oh yes, the water well workshop is in March 27th. Yeah. So those are the three workshops that we've got coming up in the next couple of months, few months. Most of them are gonna be in the Blue Ridge area just because it's central for people from Whitecourt and the fort, so we're gonna have those, coming up. And I also registered for that conference that I was talking to Ryan about, the Alberta Invasive Species Council Conference in Olds on March 20th and 21st. So that's it, I think. Yeah.
Any questions for Don?
Just contemplating hard.
Seeing none, could I get a motion to accept her report as information?
Yep, I'll
Greg?
do that. Move for information.
Okay, all those in favor? That motion's carried. Okay. We, you guys go through the information package. Was there anything in there that you wanted to talk about, or?
Lots of letters regarding
There was a
the
lot of
Alberta
letters, yeah.
drought.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of letters in there.
Yeah.
It seems like the framework maybe needs to kind of be like adjusted, like if you don't have any spring moisture, but then it rains all August or July, that seems to like make up for it in somebody's eyes.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Well, and their biggest go-to is there are programs out there, right? Like there is the agri recovery, agri stability, there are crop insurance programs. Like that kind of seems to be their biggest go-to when they, like, when you're reading all these letters, that's the response, right? It's kind of like the pat response. But sometimes those don't always work for everybody.
Well, and I think,
Unfortunately,
I have to
so.
agree with Ryan as well on, you know, that none of these things fit, because the reality of it is that they're constantly re-looking at the ag stability, the agri-invest, and all of those. So, you know, instead of discussing how to put a Band-Aid on them, we should have a conversation, figure out how we get a conversation going about how do we stabilize, because it changes for everybody. Like it's in constant flux.
Sure.
So I don't know how we would get that conversation going.
It's not gonna.
Well, no, I think there's value, because I've heard a lot of that, from different areas, that there's a real need to have a look at changing these insurance programs, because what you're saying is that there's no stability, and the reason there's no stability is because it's based on previous production, or it's based, so then you've got this bouncing up and down all the time, so there's no average that they can actually go from. So it never, you can pay money in, but it never actually benefits you when you need it. And so
The trigger points seem to change.
they
all the
change
time.
all the time,
Yeah.
exactly.
But just, everybody just wanted the same program that we had, where they just paid you out and didn't ask questions.
Yeah,
And that people need to realize that that's not gonna happen every year.
Exactly.
Like, you're not gonna get that. And
no, it should be insurance, right?
if you buy moisture deficiency through AFSC at their program last year, they claim that it pays out 98%. That's what they're claiming. So like, that's pretty high payout on a program. Like, there's millions and millions of dollars of tax money in that program.
Yeah,
But a lot of these guys pay in for 25 years before they trip it. Like,
yeah,
Well, maybe that's a conversation that can be brought up with them at the ADM's meeting
yeah,
on Monday.
yeah.
And I don't doubt that somebody probably will bring it up, honestly.
Oh, yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
been a hot topic.
Yeah.
It's-
yeah,
Like you can see how many letters we got.
yeah,
My
exactly.
email every day has been blowing up with
So
stuff
that,
like that.
you know, if Greg's not, or you're the,
Their minds of ice.
you're vice chair, so we'll be able to sit in on that meeting, so maybe we can have that conversation.
I
Is
don't know anything about that.
What's
Peter,
that?
I don't know anything about that, so.
It's
Yeah.
at 3 o'clock on, excuse me, 3 o'clock.
Go ahead,
on
Al.
Thanks. Just wanted to bring up the information that's been coming out from the provinces urging municipalities to come up with a water conservation program or plan. You know, the forecast is for an extreme drought conditions is again. Those conservation plans, I think, are probably geared more towards the southern municipalities. But Don, are you aware of that ask coming down from the province, and is Woodlands County conducting any type of a conservation plan?
Quick answer, yes and no, at this point.
Okay,
I am aware, but no, we
Yeah.
haven't got anything going forward
Yeah.
on that. So.
not required.
They haven't said anything about a requirement, no. I think, like you said, they're probably concentrating more on the south area. Like a lot of their irrigation, I noticed a lot of the irrigation areas, their ponds and stuff are really, really low with
Yeah.
moisture level, so they're really concerned about that. And without much snow down in that area too, so I do believe they're probably concentrating more on the south area where they were hardest hit. But no, I haven't heard anything as far as a requirement going forward for us.
Go ahead, Brian.
My in-laws
Okay,
in River
thank-
County have to get a permit to pump out of a creek or a pond.
You have to
Do
do
we
that
do that
all
here
over.
as well?
Yeah,
So
that's
you-
through the province.
That's your problem.
Yeah,
Well, that's gonna become a problem here because a lot of the dugouts and watering areas are starting to see a real, like we're seeing it at home, a real low level in our, what is traditionally swamp areas. They aren't swamp areas
yeah.
anymore. Despite the
Yeah.
amount of rainfall we got last year, it just didn't
Yeah.
manifest. So we're getting into a place, and that was predicted. I think, remember we had that conversation with, when we were in Grand Prairie last year, where there's gonna be some serious water
Was
management.
it, no, that wasn't Drew Lerner.
Pardon me?
That wasn't Drew Lerner, was it?
No,
I know he
but
does a
that's
lot
gonna
of that
become
predictive,
part of,
yeah.
that's why the portfolio for the minister changed to irrigation as well, because they were seeing areas in the piece that were devastated because they haven't had rain for 4 years or 5
Yeah.
years. Yeah, so it's a good point, Al. That's a conversation I think we're gonna see if this cycle continues. And we may be pumping water, because I know, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago when we had that real dry spell, there was a lot of dugouts being filled in Barhead County. And they actually have some,
I remember when I was younger, there was a water pumping program too.
Yeah.
Like that was before my time as a fieldman, but
Yeah.
there was, you could rent the pipes and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, the
You still
problem,
can in Barhead.
you still can in Barhead, right?
yeah.
So do we, as a municipality, do we have a mechanism by which we can access that? You know,
We
so,
don't have any piping, I know
yeah,
that,
so,
but.
you know, so it's something that,
Yeah.
you know, we may end up having to look at, because it's not just us that's going to be needing that service if we do have to pump water from our rivers or lakes and ponds and stuff, so.
Yeah, I know, like, doing these ag truck fills, that was part of a concert, like a water program at one
right.
point too, but it wasn't like part of this pumping program. Obviously, you're not gonna fill your dugout from this well,
No.
so,
So,
but,
is there any provincial programs or grants that are available to service boards for, because obviously in the south, they would have something that helps the producers out with the, so,
well, it might be part of, like, through the Ag Service Board grant, we have a soil and water conservation kind of area. So it might be through something like with that.
but we would have to apply for that
Yeah,
grant,
oh,
as
yeah,
a,
for sure.
and there would, you know, obviously, there would have to be a need for it, because we would have to match that to a certain,
You'd have to write a really good story
yeah.
to get.
All those guys in Brooks and Jenner haven't paid for water since BSC.
Yeah,
Provincial government's paying for it.
Right.
yeah.
No one's questioned that.
Yeah. I suspect though, going forward, if they're gonna have, like a water conservation program, it'll be something completely separate from the Ag Service Board grant.
Okay.
Like I would imagine it would be something
Okay.
specific.
We would probably be the administrators of it, but we wouldn't be the ones that,
No, we may have to apply, like, it
Apply.
depends on what the program, I have no idea what kind of, program would come out. But like if it is to purchase piping or something for people to use, piping pumps for people to use, that might be something that, like, I'm just totally throwing it out there. Haven't heard anything about a program, so this is just kind of, but that would be, you know, if we had to buy piping, maybe we could get a grant for something like that, but.
because I was actually, I was north of Manning, not too long ago, and I did see some wheel lines out in some
Yeah.
of the fields
Oh,
there.
yeah,
So that surprised me, because that wasn't, because they had to have been getting that water from a flowing source because they don't have groundwater there.
no,
So that really surprised me, so.
yeah, it's not something you think of up in this area for irrigation. But there's people at, well, around Edmonton, their turf,
Yeah,
the turf growers obviously are gonna irrigate lots, but.
is there any other questions on that information package? If not, we'll get a motion to accept that as information as circulated.
I'll, motion it.
Okay. Dave? All those in favor? That motion is carried. And I guess we only have one more motion.
I'll, motion to adjourn.
Okay. Okay, Dave moves that we adjourn. We don't need to have any discussion on that. All those in favor? That's carried.